As you work in Word, you may find from time to time that you are using the same information over and over again from document to document, and yet it doesn't really quite qualify as needing a template. There might be a solution for you, and that's called quick parts, and there are several kinds of quick parts, so we will briefly look at each of those. So hi, I'm Terry, one of the Consumer Technology Specialists for Mid-Continent Public Library, and let's take a peek at Word and quick parts. Our example document today is just random text, and then we want to look at the different quick parts and how we might be able to use them. To use quick parts, we need to go up to the tabs above the ribbon, and we want to go to that second tab, which is Insert. And then over at the right, we want to go to the text group. And one of the buttons in this text group is Quick Parts. Now, Quick Parts has several sections to it. We will want to look at each one. If I decide to go to Quick Parts and click on the drop down and then go to Auto Text, the first pieces of information here have probably come from either the installation of Windows or the installation of Office, because they have the employment and then your name and your initials. For me, though, it works pretty well, because now instead of needing to type my name every time or type my employer, for example, I can just go to Auto Text and put in the employer, press Enter, go back to my Quick Parts Auto Text and put in my name. And it is so much easier than typing. It saves me a lot of time. It's just very efficient. That is just my personal information, but I can actually add to that auto text. Auto text is going to be something that is generally a very small snippet. So it could be that I have an employer who wants me to add in their signature from time to time. So all I need to do to add in this manager's signature is to select that text and then go to Insert, go to the Quick Parts. I can come down here to Auto Text and save the selection to the Auto Text gallery, or you'll notice that I can also from here save the selection to the Quick Part gallery. And it's really kind of the same thing, so I have two options for saving, but let me just go to save that selection to Auto Text Gallery. Now when I do that, I want to give this a name, and Manager 1 Signature seems right. Which gallery am I saving it to? And I'm saving it to Auto Text. When I click the drop down, you'll see that there are a lot of different galleries that I could save this to, but Auto Text makes the most sense of those choices. Now, the category is just general, but I could create a new category. So for example, within Auto Text, I could even create a new category that is signatures. And then I could add in a description. And then I have some options here as well. Insert content only, or I can insert the content in its own paragraph. So how am I going to use the signature? Am I ever going to use the signature and then maybe put in a comma and then some more text? If I did that, I wouldn't want to put the signature in its own paragraph, and certainly not its own page. So I'm just going to insert the content only and click OK. Now let me go back to my original document here, and instead of my name, I need to insert my manager's signature instead. I can go to Quick Parts. Down below, I now have a signatures category where I have Manager 1 Signature. Click on that, and I've now inserted that Manager 1's signature. Now, I could also, instead of something like a signature, it might be, say, a tagline. So let me go back to my other document here, and let's say that underneath Manager 1's signature, occasionally I need to insert something like the best mom and pop store in the Midwest. I might decide to add some italics and maybe take off the bold, but that is our tagline. Now, with that text selected, I can go to Insert, Quick Parts, and again, for auto text, I can save that selection to the auto text gallery, and I need to put in some sort of a name. I'm just going to call it tagline, and it's the auto text gallery. The category is not really maybe general. Let's create a new category because maybe we have several taglines for several different businesses, and say okay. We can put in a description. I'm just going to insert the content only again and say okay. Now let me go back to my original document, and under my Manager 1 signature, let's go to Quick Parts, click the drop down, go to Auto Text, and we're going to need to scroll down here, and below Signatures we now have taglines, and here is this first tagline, and I can very easily insert it into my document. And it just saves me that little bit of typing, but over, say, a year, that is a lot of time saved. You may also decide to add in some information that comes from the document itself. So when we go up to Quick Parts and click on the drop down, we may decide to insert something from the document properties. Most of these pieces of information, and let's just say author here, come from up in the ribbon, the very first tab, File, and then down on the left you have Info. And then on the right you have Properties. And so it has the title, for example, the tags, and as I come down, the author, and then as I click on Show All Properties, there are other things that I can add in. So, for example, let's say title. Title is Quick Parts Example. And then I simply press Enter to set that in. Now let me go back to my document, and I will press Enter. Go to my Quick Parts, go to Document Property, and Title is one of those choices. It's the last one here. Click on it, and there I have inserted that property that I typed in from File Info. As I inserted my name as the author and then the title, Quick Parts Example, you may have noticed that both of those pieces of text didn't look like just a regular Word document where you have the insertion point and you type. In actuality, those were inserted as fields. And so when I click on my name, you can see that author's the name of that field, and then I even get a box around it. Same thing here with Quick Parts. That is a field that has been inserted. Well, there are other fields that you may want to insert within your document. So let's go back to Quick Parts, and this time come down to Field. This is quite an extensive list, so we'll just look at the possibilities here, but we'll click on Field, and on the left we have an alphabetical list of all of the different field names. But if we come up to the top where it says Categories, let's click on the drop down and just look at the categories and some of the fields. So, for example, date and time. There are a lot of different ways to insert the date and the time. We have document automation. These may take some extra work and maybe some research to figure out how to use them, but know that they are there and that they are possibilities for you. Document information, well, this is pretty much the exact same thing as what we saw when we went to fields and picked up the document information there. Then from here, we also have equations and formulas. We have index and tables. So these may be very helpful for you as you go through. Links and references, mail merge, and then numbering, sections, and then we have user information, which again would be coming from your installation of either Office or Windows. So there are all sorts of fields that you can insert if you so choose. And then we're going to click on Cancel for that. Now let's go back to our quick parts. And we've looked at auto text, document property, and field, but there's also this building blocks organizer. So let's look at that for a second. It has a list of all of those different elements that we were adding in. So for example, name is mid-continent. The gallery is auto text. And then does it have a category, general, and is there a template? And then you get a sample of that building block on the right. We're familiar with these first three in that these were some of the very first quick parts that we looked at. But then we also have the manager signature here. And as we look at that, it is also auto text, but the category is signatures. And then we have the tagline that we created, and it is auto text and the category is taglines. And it again gives us a sample of how that looks. There are different galleries that are already built into Word, and a lot of these are built in just through buttons on the ribbon. Here we have some fields that are directly related to bibliographies, and then as we come down, there are a lot of choices here that are built in for cover pages. So let me see if I can click on one that we can see. So ViewMaster, for example, and here is how that would look. And it's the same as going to the ribbon button option and clicking and making this choice. We have equations, and below that, we have the footers that are built in. Below those footers, there are headers. Well, let's go below the headers, and there are page numbers. Below this, we have some table of contents. Then you have tables, and there are some built-in tables as well. And then there are different text boxes. And then below that, as I scroll down, there are different watermarks. But here is the fun part. You can add your own building blocks to this. So let's close and go back to my other document where I've added in some text. And let's say that this text is something that is copied into a lot of our marketing documents, and it would be really nice to have it available. So what we can do is go to Insert, go to Quick Parts, and this time it's really not so much any of these, but below Building Blocks Organizer, we can save that selection to the Quick Part Gallery, and we'll just click on that. So what is its name? Well, we're going to call it Marketing. And we could put it in the Quick Parts Gallery. We could put General, put in a description. We're going to save it in the building blocks. This we might decide to make it its own paragraph, and then we'll say OK. Now let me switch back to our example document here. And I've clicked in some blank space. Let's go to Quick Parts. And you can see that right here, I named that Marketing. It is one of my quick parts, but let's also go to the Building Blocks Organizer where we may decide to alphabetize the names of the different building blocks. So let me click on Name so it alphabetizes, and we'll scroll down to Marketing. And then I can choose Insert here to put it into my document. When I go to Quick Parts and I see that I have all these different building blocks, I might decide that maybe this marketing information has gotten old. All I need to do is right-click on that particular building block, and then I can come down almost to the bottom where it says Organize and Delete, and I can click on that, and then down below that list, I have a Delete button just right in between Edit Properties and Insert. So I could delete it, And it says, are you sure you want to delete it? Yes, I am. Now, while we're here, we resorted this list so that it's alphabetical by name. Originally, it was sorted by gallery. So I'm going to click on gallery, and that takes us back to our original look. And we can close. To learn even more, be sure to go to mymcpl.org/online learning for such great resources as Universal Class, LinkedIn Learning, Learning Express Library, and Udemy Business. We also premiere new videos every Wednesday and Friday at 1 o'clock. If you miss a video premiere, you'll still be able to find it later when it's convenient for you. You can find us on Facebook at MCPL 360, and you can find us on YouTube by going to our MCPL MO channel.